Hello everyone! Recently some of you have sent in some really great ideas taking a look at mini bosses and such, but first we're going to get kicked off by starting a series with event bosses, and I'm going to count down some of my top favorite ones. This is going to be a two-part series since there's roughly 11, and I think this will be a great way to take a further look into some of these bosses, how they work, and just discuss some of the favorite ones. As always, this list will be my opinion. Feel free to share yours down below in the comments section. As you all know, the recent event we had added was in 1.34 with the Dungeon Defenders 2 crossover, so I'm going to include them in this list as well. And I really hope to see more fun content like this in the future. Anyway, let's get started all the way back at number 11 and work our way up. This one's a little bit interesting because these four bosses technically don't do much, and they're the pillars of the Lunar events. Their sole purpose is to stand still and spawn in more mobs for protection to defeat the player. They start off with a force field, so there's no exact way you can actually attack them first off without defeating at least 100 to 150 of their minions. Now take the solar pillar for instance. Please, it's driving me nuts. But in all seriousness, the solar pillar, for instance, does have a bit of a fire attack at one point, so when you're close by, it's something to keep note of because it will do damage to you. But other than that attack, it just spawns in other mobs to defend itself. As for the vortex pillar, it does something similar. Occasionally it'll spawn a giant magnet sphere kind of attack. It's very similar to the lunatic cultist attack basically. But the nebula and stardust just kind of chill out and do their own thing. They're a cool kind of pillar. As you know, each pillar has a theme. Solar has a melee theme, Nebula has magic, Vortex has ranged, while the Stardust, it's a summoner. I really like the concepts behind these. It would have been a little bit cool to see Nebula and Stardust have a little bit more of a defense mechanism like the other two, but that's okay because on expert mode, that would probably make them really beastly. I should also say that once you defeat them, they make a very satisfying kind of crunchy noise. Has anyone ever else noticed that? It's very interesting yet very satisfying. I kind of like that sound. Either way, the solar pillars are a blast. Coming in at number 10 is going to be the Dark Mage from the Old Ones Army event, which is patch 1.34. The Dark Mage serves as a bit of a mini-boss in the first tier, which is basically pre-hard mode. And it roughly has between 800 hit points or 1600 on expert mode. These guys can be a bit of a pain, but what's really cool is they do tend to drop some pets. There's the Dragon Egg and the Gato Egg. They're not too difficult to defeat in Tier 1 because their defense is lowered, but in Tier 2 and Tier 3, they're a little bit harder because their defense is a little bit higher. Overall, while I like the Old Ones Army update, I don't find myself really too endeared to the Dark Mage. Coming in at number 9 is the Mourning Wood, and these spooky haunted trees were the first look we got at some of the bosses that were yet to come. I really like how intimidating they look, but they're not really overpowered, and they won't exactly bowl you over if you're not careful. If you find yourself in a group of these, things may change very quickly. But the Mourning Wood keep it very simple with two simple attacks. One can actually go through blocks. The Greek fire attack they possess doesn't pass through, but it does drop little bits of flame on the ground, but for the most part those are pretty simple to avoid. The Flaming Wood though actually goes through blocks and causes a good chunk of damage if you're not careful. These can be easily dodged, but again, if you got a large group of these on screen, then it may be a bit of a problem. When you hear what sounds to be a snake, then you know the Greek fire is being launched, but then when you hear a bit of a booming noise, you know the Flaming Wood is being shot out. On normal mode, these possess roughly 12,000 hit points. On expert mode, they possess 15,600. They also give us access to some pretty cool things like the Spooky Hook, and of course the Spooky Twig, which you craft to make spooky wings. No matter what changes we may see in the future, the name Mourning Wood will always stick in our minds. Coming in at number 8 is the Everscream, which could be the brother/cousin of the Mourning Wood. The Everscream comes out during the Frost Moon event, and similar to the Mourning Wood, it's got a few attacks, some of which can actually pass through blocks. It should be fair to note that both of these mobs do share the same AI, so of course there's going to be some similarities too there. One of the attacks actually mimics a weapon it drops by shooting pine needles, which would be the Razor Pine. The biggest thing about that is sometimes the needles can be very difficult to see, so the Everscream may be able to get the drop on you. You should be careful though when it actually throws out bouncing ornaments. They do fragment like crystal bullets, and that can be very painful. These guys aren't too difficult, but once you start getting to a big mob of them, they become a real pain in the rear, and it's probably best to pull back a little bit so you don't get stuck up in their fire. They have roughly 13,000 hit points on normal mode and almost 17,000 on expert mode. Once again, like their close relative, they do drop some pretty interesting weaponry. such as the Razor Pine. Of course, the Christmas hook is great for grappling. And for melee users, the Christmas tree sword is very nice. What can you say? Nothing says happy holidays like a nice Everscream. Coming in at number 7 is the Flying Dutchman, and this one can be really annoying. Added to the Pirate Invasion event in patch 1.3, the Flying Dutchman tends to come out once you progress past 50% during the event itself. The 4 cannons it possesses can be a bit of a threat, though if you're good at dodging, they won't be too much. As it flies around, the Flying Dutchman will actually drop out pirates, so you have to be mindful of that. The only way to defeat the Flying Dutchman is to take out all 4 of its cannons, and with their addition in patch 1.3, I felt like this was really cool. It'd be nice to actually see it start off with pirates starting on the ship, being dropped off, but unfortunately that isn't so much the case. But when you defeat the ships, they do have a pretty wide range of loot, such as the cutlass, the golden ring, pirate staff, discount card, lucky coin, and of course the ever-fabled coin gun. One of my favorite weapons to use to take out the ships is the Daedalus Stormbow, of course. Get yourself some holy arrows and they will shred these things apart. Though, of course, if you happen to have a meteor staff nearby, they work excellent as well. Some have also said using minecarts to kill the Flying Dutchman is really good too. I've never tried this before, but if you have a lot of track and you're able to speed up, you may be able to run right through the ship, doing damage to all the cannons. I've never tried this before, but it may be worth a shot at some point for those who feel adventurous out there. While I don't know if they have any rum on this ship, it certainly does have a barrel full of fun. That's going to do it for our list this part. Stay tuned for a part 2 where we'll go ahead and wrap up with our last 6 event bosses we have. Which one do I like the best? We'll find out soon. Let me know which ones you like down below in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you as always. And please keep in mind, this is just my opinion, so take it for what it's worth. We may do more series like this in the future, so if you like them, let me know. Please be sure to rate the video accordingly as it helps the channel. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and I'll see you again next time. The video's over, but there's more where that came from. Be sure to subscribe for more Terraria Let's Plays, Top 5s, and other videos as well as we cover different titles. You can click on one of the videos here for more. Be sure to rate this video accordingly as it helps the channel out greatly. Have yourself a wonderful day, and I will see you again next time.